Welcome back to this episode of the Deep Penetration Podcast. My name is Danny, and I am a love and self-esteem coach that works with the LGBTQ plus community. I work a lot with gay and bisexual men when it comes to matters of self-esteem, self-love, self-acceptance, and really just learning how to navigate and cultivate healthy and sustainable relationships. If this is your first time visiting the podcast, wherever you are visiting from, whatever platform you are on, please make sure you are subscribing because it helps us to continue to have these very open and honest and candid discussions. A big part of this podcast is trying to unpack common misconceptions and stereotypes, challenge cultural beliefs, and really touch upon specific things when it comes to individual self and relationships in order to shed light on some of these things. So, that being said, what are we talking about today? We are talking about the effects of alcohol on your relationship or your relationships. And I think this is something that is important to talk about, hence why I'm talking about it. And the thing is, I think in today's society, the influence of drinking culture on relationships it's undeniable, right? And while alcohol can enhance your social experience, it can also have a detrimental effect on your romantic partnership. So let's talk about the impact of drinking culture on relationships. So I think it's important that we look at the role that alcohol has played in queer culture. So number one, within queer culture, alcohol has been equated to just general celebration and community. So it has acted as a tool for celebration and fostering a sense of community. And if you really understand the history of queer culture, bars and clubs have historically been a safe space for the LGBTQ plus community, providing opportunity for socialization and finding acceptance. And the second thing is, coping mechanisms. For many of us, alcohol has served as a coping mechanism to navigate the challenges associated with coming out, facing discrimination, or dealing with internalized shame, which means it can be used, like I said, as a coping mechanism. The third thing here is normative pressure. So the prevalence of drinking or drinking culture in the LGBTQ plus community can create a sense of pressure where individuals feel compelled to drink in excess to fit in or conform to societal expectations. Alcohol in general has played a significant role in my queer experience, right? There were many times that I was not comfortable with myself or the environment that I was in. So, I drink a little bit. I have a little drink there, a little drink here and there, and maybe have a martini or two or a glass of wine or two, just to decompress and to loosen up a bit. And I can honestly say, I am grateful for many of the experiences that I have had because of alcohol, but I also can't deny that it has impacted my life negatively as well. It has put me in many precarious situations. It's inhibited my ability to connect emotionally with my partners in the past and has resulted in some trauma that I have had to work through throughout the years. I used alcohol as a way to numb myself from physical pain, the physical pain of sex sometimes. And I also used it to numb myself from emotional pain that I was experiencing at the time. And, as much as alcohol has been my friend, it's also been my enemy, but it taught me several lessons along the way. So, how does it impact your emotional relationship? And there are four ways. So, the first one is impaired communication, right? So, I think excessive alcohol consumption can hinder effective communication in your relationship. It can lead to misunderstandings, to arguments, and the inability to really express emotions clearly. And that can cause a strain on your relationship. The second thing here is increased risk-taking behavior. Alcohol reduces your inhibitions, which usually results in engaging in risky behavior that may jeopardize your relationship. So this can include infidelity, reckless decision making, or compromising personal boundaries or the boundaries of your partner. The third thing here is emotional intimacy challenges. Alcohol can hinder the development of a deeper emotional connection with your partner and may serve as a barrier to vulnerability, preventing partners from really connecting on a deeper level and addressing underlying issues. And the fourth thing here is dependence and codependency. So, in some cases, people in relationships may develop a codependency on alcohol, relying on it to maintain that connection or avoid facing unresolved personal issues. Maybe for you, it's you struggle to connect with people unless your inhibitions are down a little bit. But at the end of the day, that's not true connection that you're having with that person. It's conditional. So not feeling like you have that tool or that resource to help you be more open and more free and more fun may be a problem in the relationship. And this can be detrimental to the health of the relationship overall. So if you are trying to abstain from alcohol to work on your relationship, but still want to enjoy yourself, here's are some things that I would recommend that you do, right? So number one, self-awareness. Reflect on your personal relationship with alcohol and the reasons behind your desire to drink. Understanding your motivations and triggers can be incredibly helpful to you when making and can help you make conscious choices that align with your values. The second thing is setting boundaries, right? So communicate your boundaries with your friends or potential partners regarding alcohol consumption. Let them know that your preference is to not drink, and for them to respect your choice. The third thing is seek alternative social activities. Explore non-drinking social activities or venues that align with your interests. So, this could be attending LGBTQ plus community events that don't involve alcohol, which, to be honest with you, is very, very, very rare. But they are out there. There's also engaging in sports or hobbies or organizing sober gatherings with friends, whatever it is that works for you. The other thing here is practice mindful drinking. So if you cannot avoid drinking or if you don't want to fully avoid drinking, so if you choose to drink in a social situation, just practice mindful drinking by setting limits for yourself, right? Pacing yourself and being aware of how alcohol affects your behavior and your emotions. Strive for moderation and avoid excessive drinking. And if alcohol has become a serious problem for yourself and within your relationship, I would highly recommend seeking support, seeking help from organizations, from a therapist, from people who can really walk you through the journey or the process of letting that go or working on those triggers, that behavior, maybe the underlying trauma that has resulted in you utilizing alcohol as a coping mechanism. Whatever the case may be, there is help and support out there. The other part of this is focus on connection, right? So shift your focus from alcohol-centered activities to building deeper connections with others. Engage in meaningful conversations, listen actively, and prioritize shared experiences that just go beyond the influence of alcohol. Look, alcohol can be fun. I am not trying to knock it. Like if you like to have your martini when you get home from work to unwind and to decompress, that is fine. I definitely still have my drinks and my glass of wine and maybe a martini every so often and those types of things. But the important thing to keep in mind here is to ensure that it is not impacting your personal relationships, your romantic relationships. If you are finding that you are drinking in excess within your relationship in order to try to be more comfortable, in order to try to open up, then I think that there's something hovering underneath the surface. Um, Alcohol can be very, like I said, alcohol can be a very useful tool when it comes to decompressing and unwinding and all of those things. But again, it can also put you in very precarious situations. I have been in many situations in the past that were less than favorable. Let's put it that way. Um, and have resulted in me having to really kind of take a step back and reevaluate the level that I was drinking. There have been many people that I have worked with in the past that, were roofied at clubs or bars, that had stuff put into their drink, that had a really bad experience with a hookup because of alcohol, where there was a level of aggression that was not okay. Rape. There are so many different possible outcomes when you are under the influence of alcohol. So if you are going to drink and you know that you're going to drink in excess, make sure that you have a group of friends around you that you trust, people that will look out for you, people that will protect you. It's really just a matter of safety and knowing your limitations and knowing how to keep yourself safe. That is the biggest thing here. It is not for me to tell you not to drink, any of those things. That is your own personal decision. That is a life choice. That is what you decide to do. And I fully support it. Like I said, I have my drinks. So I like to have a glass of white wine with dinner, Chardonnay, because it helps me to wind down a little bit. I don't do it all the time. Obviously, I do also focus on physical fitness and all of those types of things. So obviously drinking all the time and drinking in excess would not be beneficial to me in regards to my fitness journey and diet and all of those things. But it's important to understand the role that alcohol has played in queer culture and how it can potentially impact your relationship. So, I hope you were able to get something from this conversation. I hope you were able to identify maybe something that's not necessarily working for you and you want to change, or if not, just generally learning something. At the end of the day, that is really what it is about. That's what this podcast is about. And maybe you didn't learn anything, and that's totally okay as well, because maybe if you didn't learn something from this episode, you will learn something from another episode that you connect to, that you relate to. And again, that is the beauty of podcasting and having these conversations and having open dialogue with you guys. Please make sure you are answering the poll at the end of the podcast. It is something that I love to do at the end because I like to connect with you guys, engage. Let me know what you thought about the episode. Let me know what your thoughts are about alcohol in the queer community, and your experiences with it. I think it'd be a very interesting dialogue and conversation to have. At some point, I would love to sit down and have conversations with other people about these types of subjects and topics. And let me know, do you guys want to hear me interview other people, have other people on the podcast to have open discussions and conversations with? Do you guys feel like that would be a little bit more interesting, a little bit more engaging? Whatever you think, let me know. Again, thank you so much for sitting down and having a conversation with me. I know this was a bit of a shorter podcast, but that is okay. They're not all going to be long. Some are going to be short. Some are going to be long. Just like, never mind. That's a joke that I'm going to keep to myself. But anyways, thanks for sitting down and having a conversation with me, and I will see you in the next episode.